society, people really need to work on developing those relationships for the sake of the child. My background, I come from juvenile justice. I worked a lot of years with the Illinois Department of Corrections, and prior to coming to Urban Prep Academy, I was the director of training for Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center. So when you speak about mass incarceration, I know exactly what you're talking about because I experienced and saw it every day. I would tell people that it was very difficult for me to walk into a facility right off of Roosevelt and see 300 young African-American men detained on a daily basis. So when I talk, a lot of times I speak and I talk about this campaign that I have for my daughter. It's called A Husband for Maya, because going into that facility every day, seeing that the potential mates for her on this school to prison pipeline, it disturbed me. So when we talk about the numbers, we talk about numbers of $500 to $600 a day to detain a youth in Cook County. So if that youth is incarcerated for a year, that type of money, almost $200,000, they could have went to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, any of these elite schools throughout our country. But the reality is that the taxpayers are not even really aware.
The panel was great. It delved into topics that we don't often talk about, and we should. Topics like fatherlessness, topics like divorce, and topics like becoming better men. So it expressed the highs and lows of divorce, it expressed the highs and lows of losing children, and it made me be a better man.
So I did a piece called In the Midst of Something Subtle. And when I talk about in the midst of something subtle, what I'm referring to is the fact that we all in this room know that there's something going on, right? I like to take it back to integration and assimilation. I can take it all the way back to the Brown versus the Board of Education, but somewhere along the way, as a family, as a community, we sort of lost our way. So when we talk about bridging the gap of fatherhood, we got to talk about bridging the gap of keeping families together. We got to talk about having a get over the identity crisis that we had through integration with our aim to assimilate, but we forgot who we are. And so the breakdown of the family begins because we have to get back to knowing who we are, where we come from, and what we believe. When we look at all of the various stories of when we were segregated and how communities thrived, because the teachers that were teaching our young people looked like them. They cared about them. They lived on the same street as them. And so I think that what we're seeing in the breakdown in the family and what's going on with fathers and mothers is because we just really don't know who we are, but we're striving, we're trying to figure it out, but while we're trying to figure it out, we're losing too many of our young people.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Alicia Lola Jones. I'm the convener of Genius for Men, and we just had an amazing panel of men talking about fatherhood that included our very own Mack McGhee. And I'm so happy to have witnessed the sort of exchange that we had, giving us a sense of what co-parenting is like, the issues, the financial barriers that prevent men from being able to respond perhaps in the ways that they would like, and then also how we as women can be supportive of the men who are trying to respond as fathers. So I'm encouraged, and I learned a lot from their panel today.
So we have a lot of things that's going on, and what it's going to take is for us to have conversations like this. This room should be filled. For us to have conversations like this. One of my experiences doing fatherhood initiative programs, and I was sharing this with my brother Mack McGhee, is that it's hard to get men out. It's hard to get men out to just talk and open up. I can get you out to watch the Bears. I can get you out on Founders Day and we celebrate and we do all this and that. But when it comes time to mentor, when it comes time to getting out and sitting and talk about what's going on in our community, when we have to, and Dr. Umar Abdullah Johnson talks about the context, propaganda, and the fact that a context is being created right now here in the city of Chicago. They're using, I believe, they're using the city of Chicago, right, as the test case, where they're creating a context that black folk can't take care of their own. And so then we'll get up on news and say, bring in the National Guards, bring in, the FBI. But really what we're doing is putting our communities further at risk. Our young people are further at risk because this school to prison pipeline is for real. It was an article the other day about Corrections Corporation of America, right? They said that they've adopted the Walmart business model. Bigger, better, cheaper. So not only do they want to have private prisons, but they also want to get paid to handle and deal with re-entry, where individuals are making millions of dollars annually with the re-entry program by having halfway hours of treatment programs and things of this nature. And so we're in trouble. We're seriously in trouble.
My name is Marcus McGhee, the other McGhee, one of 3 men that had the opportunity to sit on a panel today discussing the genius of men and the role that fathers play in their children's lives and the community. Mack McGhee, as well as Mr. George Huff, also sat on the panel. And it was a wonderful discussion just to enlighten others on some of the things that we learned through fatherhood, trying to develop into better men and to develop our children into just better people, period. Just the things that were discussed today, I think are very instrumental in starting that conversation. As always, I enjoy speaking at events with Mr. McGhee, such an enjoyable character. But I had a great time, and I look forward to the follow-up with this. Thank you.
They say that the ruins of a nation begins in its homes. I know, Huff knows, Marcus knows. Every day I'm dealing with parents. I sit mothers down on a daily basis, and you notice that I say mothers. I have 400 students in my building. And when I make a call home, 9 times out of 10, I'm calling their mother to come and have a meeting with me about what's going on with their son. And one of the conversations I have with him, if he's 14 or 15-year-old, is about future orientation, right? What do you see your son like? What is the picture in your mind of him at 21, 25, 30? Most of them have never even thought that far because they're dealing with so much in their daily life. I used to call it the tragedy calendar, where a person has so much going on, they can't even get through 30 days in a month without having major crises in their life. Lights off, gas off, they got to move, so on and so forth. So much going on. And if we could get the families back together, mothers and fathers working together for the interest of the child, even if they're not in the home, then we can really start to make an impact in the right direction.
Hi, my name is George S. Huff Jr. I'm currently the assistant principal at Hyde Park Academy High School, and I've known Mack McGhee for some time. His value for young men of color and that they graduate and go to college as opposed to a prison system is something that is a huge platform that he's a proponent of, as am I. So I truly look forward to more panels like this, more delving into the problem instead of running away from it. And I'm sure with people like Mack McGhee leading the count, leading the charge, that there'll be some great things coming in the near future. Please look for Black Boys Count, which is a website and an organization that I'm starting as well, to go ahead and have all these great men that are doing wonderful things combined as one and create our own super force. Thank you.
We have joint custody, but my daughter knows she's not restricted to every other weekend. She knows my home is her home, and so if her and her mom is not doing something, Maya called me, I'll come get you. I'll drop what I'm with me and Marcus hanging out. Hey, Mark, I can't hang out with you, I'm going to get my child. I'll leave you too. Right? And so, because I want her to have a high self-esteem. I want her to know that no man can just come to her and say anything and she go along with it. I want her to know how she should be treated. And I want to expose her to things. When I work with young people, my thing is I believe that if you expose them, and then by exposing them, you inspire them, right? If you've never been out of a 4-block radius in your community and know that the world is bigger in Inglewood than the Austin community, right? Humboldt Park, then your perspective is limited. And so I try to always expose her. We ask questions. Usually if I'm speaking, on many occasions I had an opportunity to speak, I bring her along because I want her to be able to communicate effectively and communicate well. And so a lot of fathers aren't doing what they need to do, but we got to have these conversations. And we got to get fathers to these fatherhood initiative groups. And the ones who come, they are very candid about some of their fears and some of the things they're experiencing. Whether it's the child support system, which they feel that they're being oppressed by, right? The lack of communication with the mother holding the child away because they're not paying child support. And I tell mothers all the time, whether he's given a dime or not, that has nothing to do with the emotional connection that he needs to have with his child. Because sometimes a man may be in a position where they can't pay. So do you keep the child away from their father as if the father's only role in the child's life is financial? So there's a lot of things that we need to talk about.
Hi everyone, my name is Liz Alexander. I just had the privilege of listening to the panel on fatherhood and father absenteeism and father involvement, and it was absolutely amazing. This panel is a testament that men care, right? Black men care. Black fathers want to be involved in their children's lives, right? And we really need to challenge the whole notion of absenteeism. What does that really mean, right? Does that mean, just because men are not in the house does not mean that they're not involved in their children's lives? So, I mean, this again was a testament that fathers want to be there, and that fathers have the ability to love and provide social, emotional support to their children.
I shared a game with my father. Played it every day until I was 3. He would knock on my door and I'd pretend to be asleep until he got right next to my bed. And I would jump up and jump into his arms. Good morning, Papa. And my father, he would tell me that he loved me. We shared a game, knock knock. Until that day when the knock never came. And my mother took me on this ride on this endless highway past cornfields until we reached a place of high rusty gates. A confused little boy entered the building carried in my mother's arms. Knock knock. We reached a room, a window, with brown faces. Behind one of the windows sat my father. I jumped out of my mother's arms and ran joyfully towards the window, only to be confronted by the window. I knock knock, trying to break through the glass, trying to get to my father. I knock knock, and my mother pulled me away before my father could say a word. And in all these years, he has never said a word. And so 25 years later, I write these words for the little boy in me who still awaits his father's knock. Papa, come home because I miss you. Miss you waking me up in the morning telling me that you love me. Papa, come home because I decided a while ago I wanted to be just like you, but I'm forgetting who you are. And so 25 years later, a little boy writes and tries to heal and father himself. And he dreams of a father who says these words his father did not. Dear son, I'm sorry I never came home. And for all the lessons I failed to teach, hear these words. Shave in one direction with strong deliberate strokes to avoid irritation. Dribble the pages of brilliance with your ballpoint pen. Walk like a god and your goddess will come to you. No longer will I be able to knock on your door, so you must learn to knock for yourself. Not knock down doors of racism and poverty that I can knock. Not knock on the bridges of black minds that fill these cells. Not knock with diligence for the sake of your children. Not knock for me, and as long as you are free, these prison gates cannot contain my spirit. The best of me still lives in you. Not knock with the knowledge that you are my son, but you are not my choices. Yes. We are fathers, sons, and daughters, but we are not their choices. And despite their absence, we are still here, still living, still breathing with the power to change this world. One little boy and girl at a time. Knock, knock. Who's there? We are.
Mac, I love how you are always empowering people. How do you memorize your monologues? You need to teach me.
I just have a great memory. I was always blessed with the gift of gab. And I also love poetry, and so with the combination of always liking to talk and being the center of attention like you, I just make it happen. So no, really, we're here today at the University of Chicago, the Genius for Men Conference, talking about a very important issue, the issue of fatherhood and how we bridge that gap to make sure that fathers are present in the lives of their children. As a father myself, I find that it's very important to be present.
Definitely.
Right, and to provide that emotional support, and not just financial support. Ladies, I know you're thinking they got to pay that money too, but we have to also provide that emotional support that our young women and our sons know that they're loved. I don't go a day without texting or Facebooking my daughter, letting her know that I love her and that I'm very proud of her.
The love of a father plays a profound role in the lives of children. Children need to know that they are loved by their fathers. So again, I just want to encourage everybody to do what you can do to bridge the gap and help build the bond in our society as it relates to fathers and their children. It's not a black issue, it's an issue across the board. You have Asians, Hispanics, Caucasian people, all types of people who are experiencing the same gaps as it relates to fathers' relationships with their children. So again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that we really work collectively to bridge the gap.
And if you want more information about what we're doing, you can find that at www.mackmcghee.com. That's www.mackmcghee.com.
And again, you can find more information about the work that I'm doing at www.bernadabaker.com. And that's B as in boy, ERNADABAKER.com.
She made me come, y'all. She made me come.
I'm the big sister.